I know conservatives say, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. But here's the thing. Black people have been trying to do that over and over again throughout American history. From building thriving communities like Tulsa's Greenwood District in the early 1900s, to fighting for access to good-paying union jobs in the mid-20th century, to buying homes in the 2000s as a pathway to generational wealth, black families have repeatedly done what society says is the right thing. And time again, whether through violence, discrimination, or predatory systems, those bootstraps have been yanked away. One of the clearest examples? The housing market crash of 2008. For decades, owning a home has been sold as the cornerstone of the American dream. By the early 2000s, more black families than ever were buying homes. After generations of being locked out through redlining and Jim Crow policies, this was finally a chance to build wealth the so-called right way. But there was a trap built into the system. Instead of being offered safe, prime loans, black borrowers were disproportionately pushed into subprime mortgages. Risky, high-cost loans that were doomed to collapse. And now, a word from our sponsors.
It started as a study of human aggression. It led to experiments on primates. But something went wrong. Starring Christopher Atkins, two-time recipient of the National Association of Theater Owners Star of the Year Award. First for Blue Lagoon, now for Shakma. Also starring Amanda Wyss of Silverado and Nightmare on Elm Street. Ari Myers from TV's Kate and Alley, featuring Roddy McDowell as Professor Sorensen. And Shakma, shocking audiences everywhere.
He's a funny motherfucker.
According to the Center for Responsible Lending, more than half of black mortgage holders had subprime loans, compared to about a quarter of white borrowers. And this wasn't by accident. Banks and lenders actively steered black families into predatory products, sometimes even calling them ghetto loans. It was financial redlining dressed in modern clothes. So even as black families followed the rules, working, saving, buying homes, the deck was stacked against them. We'll continue after these messages.
Don't forget the coupons.
To find out if you're eligible for digital converter box coupons, go to www.dtvanswers.com.
But this wasn't just about money. It was about racism, plain and simple. In 2012, Wells Fargo settled a major lawsuit after whistleblowers revealed that bank employees referred to black customers as mud people, and to the subprime loans they sold as ghetto loans. Think about that. Not only were black families being pushed into toxic financial products, but behind closed doors, the very bankers taking their money were mocking and dehumanizing them. This wasn't just bad banking. It was systemic racism packaged as financial policy. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hurry! We're gonna miss the show! Faster, faster, faster!
Whoa! What is this? It's a digital converter box.
To find out if you're eligible for digital converter box coupons, go to www.dtvanswers.com.
When the bubble burst in 2007 to 2008, the damage wasn't evenly spread. About 17% of black homeowners lost their homes to foreclosure, compared to 7% of white homeowners. That means nearly 1 million black families were pushed out of their homes. And beyond the houses themselves, this was about security, stability, and generational wealth. Gone. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Then they gonna start shooting. Oh, then we gonna start shooting. I'll tell you all of them. Every last one of them gonna get shot. That's right. All of us is gonna get shot. All of us is gonna die together.
Tic Tac Tics, the Rebel Mints. Stay the fuck out of my comment section.
Between 2005 and 2009, the median wealth of black households fell by 53%, while white wealth dropped only 16%. By 2009, the average white household still had over $113,000 in wealth, while the average black household had just $5,600. That's not just a setback. That's a generational reset. We'll continue after these messages.
Shoppers hit stores Thursday to make sure their TVs will still work on Friday.
I'm buying a digital converter box. My TV has cable, but I just want to be safe and make sure that everything works and I can get all the channels.
If local sales are any indication, folks like Wilder are ready for the June 12 deadline. Managers at Terre Haute's Walmart say they've sold thousands of converter boxes leading up to Friday's digital switch.
And it told you locations that it could be used.
Cashiers swiped government-issued coupons left and right, saving folks $40 a box.
You got a lot of last-minute customers coming in. Your last chance today or tomorrow morning to get a converter box to get your local channels.
Francis says Walmart plans to carry converter boxes after Friday, but the coupons do expire, so folks run the risk of paying full price if they wait. Some decided to skip converter boxes altogether and instead bought new TVs already set up for a digital signal.
A lot of people have gone ahead and bought new digital TVs. It saves with you having to buy a converter box and avoid all the confusion.
Customers say they don't expect the switch to be a problem.
I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure I can figure it out. If not, I'll have my husband help me.
Wrapping up the transition from analog to digital. In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Jessica Hayes, News 10.
And here's the point. This wasn't the first time black people tried to build wealth and had it stripped away. In the early 20th century, prosperous black communities like Tulsa's Greenwood and Rosewood in Florida were burned down in racial violence. After World War II, black veterans often couldn't access the GI Bill benefits that helped millions of white veterans buy homes and go to college. In the mid-20th century, redlining and housing discrimination blocked black families from buying in neighborhoods where property values would soar. And in the 2000s, the housing crash devastated the very progress black families were making in home ownership. This isn't about bootstraps. It's about a system that keeps cutting the straps whenever black people start climbing.
Loving baby seals, this is real, children. These are the killing fields. The piñatas are piling up. Are you with me? To hell with you then.
Hey, man. If you don't get out of here, I will call the police. I'll whip your ass.
You've been eating hamburger, haven't you?
In the last video, we looked at how the housing crash wiped out nearly 1 million black families' homes, while the government made sure America's TVs stayed on. But here's where it gets even more revealing. The digital TV transition, the billion-dollar program that handed out coupons so people's TVs would keep working, wasn't even taxpayer-funded. Meanwhile, the housing bailouts were tax-funded. And here's the kicker. Even though millions lost their homes and trillions in wealth were destroyed, there were no major arrests or convictions of the people at the top who caused it. Not one Wall Street CEO went to jail. So the government protected corporate greed with your tax dollars and protected television with Spectrum auction money. Which one do you think got the maximum output strategy? The original analog shutoff was set for February 17th, 2009, but millions weren't ready, The coupon program ran out of funds, applications piled up, and people, especially seniors, rural families, and low-income households, faced losing TV access overnight. So Congress hit pause. The DTV Delay Act pushed the deadline to June 12, 2009. 4 extra months so households could get coupons, buy converter boxes, and prepare. That was a maximum output strategy. Make sure nearly every household was on board. But let's back up for a second. What exactly was the DTV Act? The Digital Television Transition and Public Safety Act of 2005 was the law that officially required all full-power TV stations in the U.S. to switch from analog to digital broadcasting. The original deadline was February 17, 2009, but as we just talked about, it was pushed back to June 12, 2009 with the DTV Delay Act to make sure people had enough time. Why did Congress do this? 2 main reasons. Free up spectrum. Shutting off analog freed up the 700 megahertz band, which was then auctioned to wireless companies and for emergency communication systems. That auction raised over $19 billion. Help households transition. The law also created the converter box coupon program, where households could get up to 2 $40 coupons to buy digital to analog boxes so their old TVs would still work. So basically, the DTV Act made digital TV mandatory, sold the old frequencies for billions, and used part of that money to make sure people didn't lose TV access. Here's the key detail. This wasn't taxpayer funded. The DTV program was paid for by selling off the old analog spectrum, the 700 megahertz band, to wireless companies like Verizon and AT&T. That auction raised over $19 billion, and about $1.5 billion of that was set aside for converter box coupons. So the government bent deadlines, adjusted budgets, and guaranteed that households wouldn't lose TV access, all without touching taxpayer money. Now compare that to the housing crash. The TARP bailouts and foreclosure programs were tax-funded. Trillions of dollars were mobilized, but the bulk of it went to banks and Wall Street, not the families losing their homes. And to make matters worse, despite clear evidence of predatory lending and fraud, no major bankers were arrested. They walked away with bonuses, while homeowners walked away with eviction notices. Now here's the part that really stings. Those housing bailouts, the TARP funds, weren't just tax-funded. They didn't just keep the banks alive. They also allowed Wall Street executives to walk away with billions in bonuses while families were losing everything. In 2008, the very year of the crash, Wall Street firms paid out $18 billion in bonuses. Firms like Citigroup and Merrill Lynch, both bailed out with taxpayer money, handed out multi-million-dollar payouts to executives who helped cause the collapse. So let's be clear. While homeowners were being foreclosed on, taxpayers were bailing out banks, and bankers were cashing checks that only existed because taxpayers saved them. See the difference? For television, the government found a creative non-taxpayer solution and gave people more time. For housing, they used taxpayer money to bail out corporations, and homeowners got left behind. No arrests, no accountability, just bailouts for the system that created the crisis. The symbolism is hard to ignore. The maximum output strategy was applied to TV because keeping people connected to media, advertising, and consumer culture was treated as a national emergency. Housing, stability, black wealth, those were treated as collateral damage. Television got billions, a 4-month delay in universal coverage. Homeowners got foreclosures, tax-funded bailouts for banks, and no justice.